Divas. WWE Divas have historically not been associated with brutal matches. However, unbeknownst to many, the women superstars have been part of many extreme matches over the years. They have proven time and time again that they can match or sometimes even surpass the level of carnage of their male counterparts. Some matches have proven that a decimation job is not solely dependent on male superstars, and that female superstars can also contribute wholeheartedly if given the opportunity. Here we have put together a list of top 10 TLC and hardcore matches of WWE Divas. I'm sure your perspective towards women's wrestling in WWE is bound to change after going through this stellar collection of matches. Tory Wilson and Ivory. It doesn't get much messier than Ivory and Tory Wilson's hardcore match in the 1999 edition of Raw. The first women's hardcore match in the company's history is also one of its most destruction-filled matches. The two brawled all over the arena, ranging from the bathroom to even the men's changing room. The unusual contest saw Wilson dunking Ivory's face in a toilet bowl, to which the women's champion responded by subjecting her challenger to an unsavory bath routine. She sprayed shampoo in Wilson's eyes and proceeded to put soap into her mouth. The torture did not stop there, as Ivory broke a wall mirror onto her opponent's head to the shock of the watching audience. That was enough for her to pin the challenger and retain the women's title. Fans could be forgiven for thinking this was the end of destruction. However, the right to censor member exacted even more punishment on Wilson. She unplugged an iron box and wrapped a cord around the neck of her helpless opponent. Ivory then put the seemingly hot iron on Wilson's back before officials stepped in and separated the two. The match would set a precedent for women's hardcore matches in the times to come. Trish Stratus versus Victoria. The intense rivalry between Trish Stratus and Victoria had been brewing for months, setting the stage for their explosive hardcore match at the Survivor Series 2002 for the WWE Women's title. Both women had tried every trick in the book, leaving authorities no choice but to book a dangerous hardcore match. Boy, did they deliver. The match is considered to be one of the most brutal encounters in a WWE ring, irrespective of gender. Stratus and Victoria were at it from the offset as they tortured each other with weapons of different shapes and sizes. Kendo sticks and trash can lids were used to gain an advantage. One memorable spot from the bout involved Stratus hitting her opponent with a trash can lid while she was sitting on a turnbuckle. The audience gasped for air as both competitors tried to outdo each other by increasing the level of decimation with every move. Victoria was even busted open during the match, a rare sight for a female performer back then, but she did not let this setback prevent her from using a fire extinguisher's mist and a snap suplex to pick up the win, and of course winning the WWE Women's title in the process. This intense match will forever be etched in wrestling folklore for the level of brutality involved in it. Beth Phoenix versus Michelle McCool. Pitting Beth Phoenix against Michelle McCool is in itself a mind-boggling idea, and when the two stalwarts of WWE Women's Division came up against each other in an extreme makeover match, the stakes are raised to an all-time high. That is what happened when they squared off in this stipulation match in the 2010 Extreme Rules PPV. In a match of its kind, the ring was laden with beauty products that are generally associated with women's makeup, but Phoenix and McCool had different ideas. Both the divas used cosmetic items to a devastating effect, and each tried to one-up the other. The match saw the Glamazon using a bucket as a dangerous weapon, and McCool first hitting her opponent with it and then flinging it onto her, exacting more pay. The presence of Lila and Vicky Guerrero couldn't help McCool secure a victory, as a glam slam from Phoenix spelled doom for her. Fans were taken aback by the level of brutality involved in a stipulation they did not expect so much from. Becky Lynch versus Asuka versus Charlotte Flair. There had never been a women's TLC match in WWE until 2018. The masterful trio of Becky Lynch, Asuka, and Charlotte Flair set out to right the wrong in the 2018 TLC PPV. The result was an absolutely enthralling match filled with dangerous spots rarely seen in a women's match back then. The SmackDown Women's Champion Lynch put her title on the line in a contest that was a slugfest from start to finish. Each superstar had their special moments in the match, whether it be Asuka slamming the man onto a prone ladder from the turnbuckle, or power bombing Flair through a table, or Lynch jumping from the top of the ladder to the announce table, crushing the Queen in the process. And to top it off, Flair speared the Empress of Tomorrow through the ringside barricade and even nastily hit a swanton bomb onto a lifeless Lynch through a table. The Clash delivered on all the expectations that fans might have had from a contest between such talented performers. To finish off the mouth-watering match saw Ronda Rousey entering the ring and pushing both Lynch and Flair's ladders, allowing Asuka to climb the rungs and capture her first women's title in the WWE main roster. Apart from being the first ever women's TLC contest, the match is also historically known to be the first ever all-female main event of a PPV. Bianca Belair versus Bayley. In another one of the firsts, Bianca Belair took on Bayley in WWE's first ever singles ladder match on the main roster. The encounter was for the former's SmackDown Women's Championship and took place in the 2022 Extreme Rules PPV. Both performers lived up their reputations as the top draws of the company with impressive offenses. While Bayley relied on her classic heel tactics, the EST of WWE matched her every step of the way with her raw power. The memorable moments of the match were Belair power slamming her challenger onto a prone ladder and Bayley delivering a painful running splash on the champion who was lying on the ladder. Belair's absolute moment of strength came when she hit a double KOD on Damage Control's Dakota Kai and Io Sky, who were trying to do their faction leader's bidding. She then went on to grab the title and retain her women's championship. The duo of Belair and Bayley have delivered many masterclasses during their long feud, but adding the stipulation of a ladder match led to both wrestlers upping their game, giving the WWE Universe an all-time classic women's ladder match. The Kabuki Warriors versus Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair. This match for the Women's Tag Team Championship will forever be remembered for the sick bumps that all four competitors endured in it. Then Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch teamed up with her eternal foe Charlotte Flair to challenge the Kabuki Warriors, duo of Asuka and Kairi Sane, for the gold. Both teams wreaked havoc on each other in their 2019 TLC PPV encounter. Now, where do we even start? Splashes through tables were just a normal occurrence in the bout, which also saw the use of a rope not only as a weapon, but also to tie down Lynch to a ladder. Sane even used a fire extinguisher to neutralize the challengers. Both teams left no stone unturned in making the clash a violent one. One spot that particularly comes to mind is Asuka hitting a powerbomb on Flair from the ring apron through a table kept at ringside. The finish to the enthralling contest was a clever one. Asuka pulled the rope tied to the ladder that Lynch was using in her pursuit of the titles, causing her to go down. The Empress of Tomorrow wasted little time in grabbing the tag team straps to retain the title. All the performers were left bruised after the grueling encounter, and Sane even suffered from a concussion. Nevertheless, they put on a terrific show for the audience, which surely stands the test of time. Io Shirai versus Mia Yim. Io Shirai, aka Io Sky, and Mia Yim set the stage on fire when they faced each other in a ladder match in an edition of NXT back in 2019. The two collided in order to gain an advantage for their respective teams for a War Games match scheduled in the future. Shirai and Yim put their bodies on the line to get the all-important win in their tussle made for an enticing match. The former bore the brunt of a regular suplex as well as a belly-to-belly suplex onto a ladder. Dakota Kai, who was standing in Yim's corner, also added insult to Shirai's injury when she delivered a devastating powerbomb on her from the ladder onto the ring. However, the biggest spot of the match came when then NXT UK Women's Champion Candice Lee Ray interfered in the match. The Scottish wrestler appeared out of nowhere and pushed Yim, who was climbing the rungs to a ladder that was precariously placed between the ring apron and barricade. The impact of the fall was so severe that the ladder broke in half, completely neutralizing Yim. Shirai then slowly and steadily grabbed the briefcase under Ray's careful watch and won the advantage for her team. The spot-filled ladder match worked wonders in enhancing Shirai's reputation as a high flyer. The WWE Universe realized it was witnessing someone special, someone who could capture the main roster's women's title in the future. Jacqueline versus Lita. These two future Hall of Famers crossed paths in a gruesome hardcore match for the Women's Championship on an edition of Raw in 2000. Lita, the then champion, was relatively new to WWE, while Jacqueline had been around the block for around 2 years by then. Both defied the odds and danced to the tunes of the hardcore melody. A variety of weapons were on offer, from broomsticks to blow dryers and also a garbage can. Women's hardcore matches were a rarity in those days, but the ferocity of the competitors forced the audiences to take notice. The champion and challenger crossed all the boundaries and tried to outmaneuver each other for the prized possession, with the dangerous props at their disposal. Neither of them held back in their offenses. The finish of the title saw Lita hitting a baking sheet on Jacqueline's head and covering her to retain the gold. This match is remembered for both legends stepping into uncharted territory for women back then and coming out with flying colors. The bruises suffered by them showcased their grit and wrestling ability, whether in a normal match or a hardcore bout. Io Shirai versus Candice Lee Ray. Another one of Io Shirai's masterclass even before joining the main roster. This time her opponent was the talented Candice Lee Ray. As the two squared off in a tables, ladders, and scares match, the chairs part was replaced with scares as the match took place in the 2020 NXT Halloween Havoc event for the NXT Women's title. Shirai was as impressive as ever in the match as she pummeled Lee Ray on the steel steps at ringside. Not only that, she also delivered a dangerous pile driver on chairs to her opponent once inside the ring. The then NXT Women's Champion then followed it up with a suplex onto an open steel chair, leaving the challenger gasping for air. Lee Ray responded by tossing Shirai on the ladder stationed at the turnbuckle. The two would later find themselves unable to move after going through a couple of tables at ringside. Shirai overcame interference by a Halloween-themed masked figure to grab the belt and retain her title. Both she and Lee Ray went to extreme lengths in making the bout a pain-filled ride. A ride that fans won't forget soon, owing to the carnage on display.
Really damaged.
Beth Phoenix versus Melina. Since her arrival, Beth Phoenix has been a trendsetter in WWE, hence it did not come as a surprise when she participated in the first ever Divas-only I Quit match. Her opponent, Melina. Taking place in the 2008 One Night Stand event, the clash was an absolute slobber knocker. While the Eminem member tried to neutralize Phoenix's attacks using different submission holds, the latter used her brute strength to power out of any holds. The Glamazon countered with her own submissive maneuvers, first with a glam stretch and then with an armbar. Later, Melina had her own version of the armbar hold, focusing on the kayfabe-injured arm of her opponent. Phoenix finally prevailed when she followed up a picture-perfect glam slam with a vicious chokehold, which would be deemed illegal in regular matches, stretching the body of Melina in an extremely painful position and forcing her to utter "I quit." This match might not have involved the use of weapons, but it wasn't behind in the brutality aspect. The special stipulation allowed both performers to lock in many banned submission holds. The levels to which both Melina and Phoenix went to bend each other's bodies with these maneuvers made it a carnage fest. The women's division resilience went a long way in moving on from stereotypical stipulations like the bra and panties match or an evening gown match to stipulations worthy of their wrestling prowess. These extraordinary matches not only proved their ability to steal the show, but also highlight many historic firsts for the women's locker room in the WWE. We wrestling fans absolutely love it when performers exude intensity, either in their appearance or in the ring. All these matches helped the women achieve just that.